Maybe it was the white-on-white Ferrari. Maybe it was the infinity emoji. Or maybe it was the name tag, Kardashian official, sitting there like a flare in the night. 8 years after the chaos, one caption sent the internet spiraling. This love is forever. But was it a reunion? Or a reminder? It started with a pose, a lace set, and a car that screamed statement. Angela White, known to millions as Blac Chyna, posted glossy shots and wrote 5 words fans couldn't ignore. This love is forever, Kardashian official. Short, loaded, strategic. Within minutes, comment sections turned into courtrooms and confessions. Was she soft launching a comeback romance? Or simply memorializing something that never truly goes away? The shared bond of a child and a complicated past. Then came the subtle spark that poured gasoline on the speculation. Rob Kardashian hit like. No grand declaration. No paragraph-long defense. Just a tap. And for millions watching, that tiny heart might as well have been fireworks. What makes a simple like feel so loud? Context. Rob is famously quiet online. He dips in, dips out, and rarely pokes the hornet's nest. So when he acknowledged that post, on that day, the timing looked intentional. Fans said it felt like Rob opening a door that had been sealed since 2017. But a door to what? In a world where half the headlines are wishful thinking, this was catnip. Screen records, analyses, threads, stitched videos. Everyone tried to decode what wasn't said. Here's the twist. While the shipper nation set sail, reports quickly rolled in claiming Rob and Chyna are not back together romantically. And yet, the post didn't come down. The like didn't disappear. So the story gravitated toward a new center. Maybe this wasn't about romance at all. Maybe the point was to honor a complicated truth. You can leave a relationship and still carry a strand of forever. Not an engagement. Not a wedding. A different, quieter forever. Co-parenting, respect, and a history that refuses to be erased. What makes the caption even spicier is what came just before it. 2 months earlier, Angela called off her engagement to songwriter Derek Milano. No chaos, no dragged-out drama. She said it was mutual. She said she needed to focus on herself, on her kids, on spirituality. It's a theme she's leaned into for years now. Intentional living, boundaries, transformation. Which raises the question, if Angela is entering a deep focus phase, why tag Rob with a forever love line? Was it a courtesy? A nod to their shared story? Or a test balloon for how the public would react if the narrative ever shifted back to us? Then there's Rob. This summer he made something very clear. His energy is on his daughter, Dream. He's dated. He's had moments, but he hasn't wanted serious. He said it straight. He's been single for 8 years, and that lane has felt right while he pours everything into being a dad. Which adds another layer to the like. It wasn't a thirst trap response. It read more like appreciation or acknowledgement from a man who's rebuilt his life around fatherhood and low drama. To understand why a single caption still shakes the fan base in 2025, you have to go back to 2016, when their romance hit like a flash flood. First came the whispers, then the posts, then the whirlwind engagement. There were roses, road trips, and kissing shots that looked like movie posters. It was fast and loud, magnetic and messy. There was a baby on the way, tabloid storms, then a red carpet debut, all in a single breathless sprint. For a while, it felt like they could outrun everything. But momentum can smuggle in pressure. The cracks began to show. Stress, public arguments, high-profile tension. The love that had been their superpower turned combustible. By early 2017, the romance collapsed. The split was stark. What came after was courtrooms, headlines, and too many outsiders playing referee. That's the thing about breakups in the public eye. The world treats them like sport, even when a child is involved. Despite the noise, one truth held steady: Dream. Their daughter became the bright thread that restitched 2 people into something functional. Over time, the war room became a workshop. The fiery words cooled into boundaries. The co-parenting, once stormy, found rhythm. Chyna spoke openly about the formula: communication, respect, and personal space. Not perfect, but workable. The kind of grown-up peace nobody predicted in 2017. The Angela White arc has been as public as it's been personal. She peeled away chaos and leaned into discipline. She talked about faith. She spoke about healing. She made moves that read like a mission statement. So when she wrote "This love is forever," some fans heard romance, but others heard gratitude. A thank you to a chapter that turned her into a mother, a woman with a different compass, a forever that doesn't need a ring to be real. Rob's transformation has been quieter, less press, more parenting. He has learned to draw a circle around what matters and leave everything else outside. He shows up for birthdays, for school days, for the moments that rarely trend but shape a life. And where he used to be pulled into digital drama, now he seems to choose silence. When he does speak, it's about dream, about being present and proud. That one like didn't sound like a comeback to headlines. It sounded like a grown man choosing acknowledgement over performance. Reunions are the internet's favorite mirage. They promise redemption arcs, forgiveness, and that feeling we all chase, closure. After years of volatility, the idea of Rob and Chyna finding a healthy second chance scratches a cultural itch. We love the idea that time heals, that people evolve, that two folks who once crashed can learn to fly. But the truth doesn't always serve fan fiction. Sometimes the miracle is smaller, two parents finding a way to show up for their kid without breaking each other again. Let's talk about that white Ferrari. Images are language. White lace on white paint. Clean. High contrast. Almost bridal without the veil. Was it a metaphor? A prop? A canvas? It amplified the caption, framing it as a declaration instead of a throwaway line. And yet the luxe tone also kept the message safely ambiguous. It looked like romance. It read like legacy. It felt like a riddle. That's the perfect storm for a viral moment. Tagging Rob wasn't accidental. It made the post a conversation, not a monologue. It invited him to react, even if the reaction was just a like. But here's the catch. A tag doesn't define a relationship. It announces relevance. It says, you're part of this. In 2025, relevance can be about love, about family, about respect, about business, or about all of the above. That's why everyone projected their own story onto the caption. It was a mirror more than a map. Let's separate rumor from reality. Rumors suggest the post might have been a temperature check on public opinion, seeing how the world would react to any reconciliation hints. Others guess it was a gratitude note disguised as a tease, thanking Rob for co-parenting growth. Still others frame it as a strategic social moment, a way to command attention without promising anything. None of that is confirmed. It's fan theory. Intriguing but unverified. As fans guessed the ending, headlines tried to write one. Some outlets stuck to the facts, the caption and the like. Others hit the gas, flirting with reunion narratives. And then came the sourcing, insiders saying they're not back together. That tug of war created a split screen. Romance on the left, reality on the right. It's the classic modern celebrity paradox. The truth exists, but the performance of the truth often steals the show. If you listen closely, you hear the same refrain from both sides. Focus on the child. It's not glamorous. It's not memeable, but it's the work. The reason this story still matters is because the people in it learned something most of us learn the hard way. Peace is valuable. Boundaries are priceless. A quiet calendar can be revolutionary. If the post underlined anything, it was the vow behind the vow. No matter where the romance stands, the family stands. Forever is heavy. In romance, it means rings and vows. In parenting, it means responsibility and love that outlives applause. Angela didn't write, "We're engaged again." She wrote, "This love is forever." That could be the love of two people who share a child, the love of the past that shaped the present, the love of gratitude for growth. Words are instruments, and that one carried a symphony of meanings. Sometimes a moment goes viral because it invites you to listen for what's not being said. There were no matching posts, no official announcements, no family press statements, just a flash of nostalgia and a public nod. It's a comeback without a comeback, reviving an old conversation to show how the tone has changed. Less chaos, more poise, less shouting, more signaling. Flashback beats that still define the saga. Late nights at In-N-Out, the clapbacks, the photo booth smiles, the red carpet sparkle, family holidays, and a baby shower wrapped in too much attention. The Austin, Texas rescue drive, the St. Patrick's Day years, the roller coaster that made the relationship unforgettable. These images haven't faded. They sit in the collective memory like a playlist. So when 2025 served up a new track, everyone rushed to hit play. It's not just nostalgia, it's relatability. These two weren't perfect. They were passionate, messy, vulnerable, and public, painfully public. The chaos turned them into characters, but the co-parenting turned them back into people. Watching them find stability over time has been like watching a storm turn into a sunrise. That's why a caption lands like a plot twist. It's not about appetite for drama anymore. It's about curiosity. Have they healed enough to rewrite their ending? There's always the larger family orbiting the story. The Kardashian machine is a solar system of its own. Cameras, podcasts, seasonal sound bites. Rob, though, doesn't live in the bright center. He's a moon with his own gentle gravity. Any public step he takes triggers speculation about what it means for the wider brand. But the like didn't look like branding. It looked like a brother, a son, a father, choosing a small public nod while keeping the rest private. Angela is not the same woman she was in 2016. She has taken stock. She has redirected. She has swapped noise for nuance more often than not. The tag suggests she's proud of where they've arrived. Two people who once broke apart, now bonded by their greatest mutual investment. She didn't hide the name. She didn't tangle it in disclaimers. She gave it a crown emoji dressed as infinity, and then walked away from the post like a mic drop. On social, meaning isn't just in words, it's in timing, visuals, and engagement. A caption the night after an argument reads different than a caption weeks into a peaceful season. A like from a loud account means less than a like from a quiet one. When a minimalist like Rob engages, it resonates. It doesn't confirm. It doesn't deny. It simply hums. And that hum keeps the conversation going long after the algorithm would have moved on. What we know, a romantic reunion isn't confirmed. What we want, a movie ending. But real life doesn't owe us an arc. Sometimes it gives us a moment, a signal flare that says we're good. Not together, not apart, not enemies, not lovers, just good. The internet isn't comfortable with gray areas, but the healthiest stories usually live there. In the middle of every rumor is a little girl with a big name, Dream. She is the center of gravity. Ask any parent. When the kid is the priority, everything else reorganizes. Schedules, tempers, expectations. That's what seasoned co-parenting looks like. It's not sexy. It's not headline sugar. But it's the quiet miracle. If the post was a message to anyone, maybe it was to Dream. We're on the same team, always. Reunions promise a restart. But the wisest reunions don't turn back time. They honor it. If there were ever a romantic chapter 2 here, it wouldn't be a return to 2016. It would be something brand new, built on lessons neither of them had back then. And if there's never a romantic sequel, the progress still stands. The victory isn't a ring. It's peace. Here's the quiet headline. Boundaries are working. There's a reason Angela talks about them. There's a reason Rob keeps his circle small. Boundaries don't just protect you from others, they protect the good you're building. In 2016, this story had speed. In 2025, it has structure. That's growth you can't fake. Celebrities learn to speak in 3 dialects: public statements, private truths, and the in-between signals, likes, tags, and captions that don't say much but tell you everything. The Ferrari post lived in the in-between. It offered a symbol and invited you to choose your interpretation. That's why it traveled so far, so fast. Let's entertain the PR hypothesis. If this was strategy, it was gentle strategy. No swipe-ups, no product tie-ins, no shock value video, just an image and a sentence. If you're going to play the game, that's how you do it when you're trying to keep the temperature low. Let the world wonder without making promises you can't keep. Now the other hypothesis, this was personal. It takes courage to honor a complicated history in public. It's easier to bury it, pretend it never happened, or reduce it to a cautionary tale. Saying forever out loud, knowing the internet will try to own it, is bold. It reframes a past that almost drowned them as the river that delivered them to calmer shores. The infinity symbol is the spirit of the caption. It's not linear, it loops. It has no finish line and no starting gun. That's co-parenting. That's family. That's legacy. It's not about rekindling old flames. It's about a light you keep lit for someone you share a life with, even when love changes its shape. The comments split into 2 camps. Camp 1, give them another chance. People change. Camp 2, don't reopen old wounds. Both camps are speaking from experience more than evidence. They're projecting their own scars and hopes onto two people they don't actually know. That's what parasocial relationships do. They turn celebrities into mirrors. And this mirror is especially reflective. If a reunion were real, you'd likely see more than a caption. Mutual appearances at non-family events. Coordinated posts, a shared celebration that reads unmistakably intimate, without the buffer of a birthday or a child milestone. Maybe a podcast conversation or a soft reveal on a family show. Until then, we're in interpreting land, not confirming land. If this is simply a salute to healthy co-parenting, it will stay subtle. A like here, a kind word there, shared presence at dreams moments. No grand gestures, no dramatic reversals. Just steady signals that the grown-ups are in charge now. Every public moment has a price. Posts become evidence. Likes become exhibits. Outsiders become jurors. You lose the right to be ambiguous because ambiguity breeds narratives. That's why this caption matters. It embraces the cost. It whispers instead of shouts and trusts that the right people will hear it the right way. The wildest twist isn't a reunion. It's maturity. These two had every reason to keep lobbing grenades after 2017. Instead, they built a bridge. That bridge is sturdier than a trend. It's slower than a scandal. It doesn't trend every week, but it lasts. Today, forever might mean harmony. Tomorrow, it could mean collaboration, parenting projects, charity work, community efforts for families navigating co-parenting. Or it might just keep meaning what it already does: respectful distance, reliable presence, and showing up when it counts. None of those outcomes are sexy, but all of them are strong. There's a love that doesn't end when a romance does. It's not the butterflies. It's the gratitude. The thank you for giving me my greatest gift. The we were a moment that changed everything. That's a love that can live forever without blowing up anybody's life. It's quieter, but it's deeper. Healthy co-parenting is boring to watch and beautiful to live. It's calendars and carpools, patience and apologies, boundaries and we'll figure it out. If this caption is a flag planted on that hill, it's the best kind of boring. The kind that gives a child a childhood. So, are Rob and Blac Chyna back together? All signs say no. Not romantically. Not right now. What they are, unmistakably, is aligned. A caption can't raise a child, but it can signal a promise. This love is forever doesn't have to mean rings. It can mean respect. It can mean peace. It can mean we're good. And our daughter is better for it. Maybe the internet wanted a love story. Maybe it got one anyway, just not the one it expected. The flames burned out, but the light stayed on. And in a world addicted to spectacle, that steady glow is the bigger plot twist. So here's the real question. Which ending would you root for? A reunion that risks the calm or a forever that protects it?